Well, folks, thanks for tuning in again today. At the end of the week, we've got some amazing items. You want to be on top of this and also get some of the insights when you're talking about these things with your friends or colleagues at work. Some wild stuff happening over there in Iran breaking out today. Markets doing some interesting things. And wait till you hear about some of the breakthrough items in the world of sports that are coming at us. The IRGC, that's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, has launched attacks and has sent a drone attack on a Singapore-based ship going through the Strait of Hormuz. And at the same time, we've still got this fascinating outplay of words because the President Trump of the United States is saying there's peace in the Strait of Hormuz and things are moving. The Iranians are saying no, they're not. No, they're not. And yet the Saudis have just shipped another large tanker through. So the wild war of words continues there. Things are by no means settled. This is the fourth day of the so-called agreement. We've got the Speaker of the Assembly in Iran, Mr. Mohad Ghalibat, and he is saying that any sanctions, any money that's going to flow to Iran will not be used to purchase crops coming from the U.S. President Trump is saying the only way there's going to be money flowing back to Iran is if they use it to purchase crops from the U.S. The war of words continues, and we'll see what the markets are saying. Stay tuned, and I want to talk about that in just a second. In terms of the war of words, Pope Leo is continuing to have strong words about the incidents that are taking place and about the Iran situation itself. He's criticizing the United States. He says war is never blessed by God, and weapons should never be used. It should always be words in terms of diplomacy. The Pope certainly has the right to an opinion, and I'm glad to hear he expresses that. It would be interesting to hear if he would have had the same words when the Allies were launching weapons against the Nazis in the Second World War, who were invading other countries and performing terrorist acts. So interesting debates that continue to go on, and we'll see what and if anything is going to evolve from that. And talking about a war and a war of words, the Democrat Party in the United States is really going through an internal full-on war of words. As we've been talking, you've heard regular viewers and listeners here, you'll know that the Democratic Socialists of America, it appears that they have taken over the Democrat Party. Some of the wildest, most severely left-leaning candidates with the most outrageous records that normally would have excluded anybody from running for a nomination are getting elected by the Democrat Party. And Democrats are saying this is going to hurt them. Their own party is in turmoil and they're tearing themselves apart. We'll see where it goes, but they are in full fling. Could be some kind of internal civil war. They have to elect a new leader. This isn't a presidential candidate, but their party, the Democrat Party, have to elect a new leader. They'll do that right after the midterm elections in November, and then we will know. Will it be the AOC side, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or will it be some of the more stable ones, so-called stable within the Democratic Party in that particular war? As far as a war goes in terms of elements related to immigration, the Supreme Court handed what people are saying is a victory or a win to President Trump. He wants to be able to deport people from a couple of key areas of concern around the world, Haiti being one of those, high levels of people with significant criminal records coming from that area. He wants to be able to deport them. It seemed like lower courts were holding that up. The Supreme Court ruled just yesterday that he has the right to do that. So that's got a lot of people upset. It kind of mirrors something that's going on in Canada right now. Juno News reporting that many people who are trying to get here or have been trying to get here to see the World Cup and the FIFA matches are actually, especially if they're coming from these certain of these areas that are seen as high risk areas, they are being refused their visa entry. So it has been noted by a number of countries that people with criminal or terrorist past have been using the purchase of FIFA World Cup tickets to get into either Canada or the United States and other sponsoring countries. And so a lot of turmoil now in Canada with some of the hard left-leaning group says this is showing that Canadian immigration is actually discriminatory and so it's a similar kind of a struggle that we're seeing. We'll see who wins that struggle, if anybody, as it's weighed out in the courts in Canada and in the U.S. Well, Canada also having this struggle, this so-called conflict and war on, are we socialist or are we centrist or are we right-leaning conservative? The battle continues being waged about Prime Minister Carney doing his announcement of the government, the federal government, purchasing 2,200 condos in uh, in Vancouver, condos which weren't selling because developers didn't want to lower the price, and so the government has come in to purchase the condos. That's a rare move in Canada, seen as significantly left-leaning. We'll see, in fact, where that goes. But you know, the similar left, right, center battle is waging. We see it in Britain, of course. We kept you advised. We correctly predicted a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, actually, that Keir Starmer would be resigning as prime minister, and as you know, he did. But the war is going on there, this internal political war. How far left are political parties going to go to continue to attract voters? That is going to be significantly playing out in a number of countries. Well, if you want to see a bit of a family dispute that's going on, Prince Harry, as you know, I think some people are still allowed to call him Prince, and his wife Meghan are still going through with their planned visit to the UK. And remember, because of their present status, which is not a good one with the royal family, they're not allowed to stay at places like Buckingham Palace. So the rumor is, and I think it'll show out to be true, that they'll be staying at the historic site, which of course is the historic site of Harry's mom, former Princess Diana. That residence is called Althrop. It's about an hour from Birmingham, and it has been closed for 2 days, July 10 and July 11th, with the keepers of the house there not saying why it's closed or who's going to be staying there. The rumor is that it's going to be Prince Harry looking to do some kind of reconciliation with his brother, Prince William. People are saying that ain't going to happen, but apparently the king, Prince Charles, does want to see his grandkids. So, you know, people are watching with interest, because what family doesn't have these kind of internal struggles? And when it's being played out on such a large stage, it gets lots of interest. Let's keep an eye on that. We talked about it here, so you'll be able to be informed. We'll keep you up to date on that particular issue. Well, Team USA, just like Team Canada, is also advancing to the next round, even though this might be confusing to some fans. They did lose to Turkey yesterday, lost by 1 goal, but the outcome was already determined in terms of Team USA had already won the right to go to the next round. Team Turkey, because they had lost the previous match, was already on the way out, but they went out in style and they actually won that game on the last second of the game with an amazing kick. But Team USA still in, and it's been fascinating to see Hollywood, which usually takes the left-leaning side of things, and celebrities are streaming to be at all these games. More so than the Academy Awards, you're seeing the celebrities showing up, and they're trying to just be a pro-USA thing. So it's, for Americans anyway, and maybe for others, it's kind of nice to see a rare moment of everybody cheering for the same issue in the United States. And the rumors start right away, of course, because there was Brad Pitt, and he was talking with Edward Norton. If you remember, they were the stars of that famous movie Fight Club, which became a generational highlight movie. And so there's talks of a reunion, and are we going to see Fight Club 2? Anything can emerge in terms of rumors, folks, when it comes to the World Cup game. Now, Mexico, the fans in Mexico are getting a pretty rough ride, and they're being warned that Mexico could default in the game, because apparently there's a chant that they use, and it goes way back into the 2000s. Whenever the other side is about to have an important moment, you know, when they line up, maybe there's going to be a penalty shot, and it's a high moment of tension and everybody in the stands is watching, they start to, as often you see like in the NBA and other sports, they'll start to chant like a hoax on the opposing team, the opposing player who's about to maybe take a very important kick. And it's being said that it's a slur. They're using a slur that might have gay connotations to it. The fans themselves are saying, no, it's nothing to do with that at all. It's something they've been doing for years. And it sort of starts with this long kind of a screech, and then they shout at the guy. They call him a name. I don't know how it's pronounced in Mexican. It's spelled Puto, and they do that to jinx the guy. And because it's associated by some as being a gay slur, what's happening in the stands is the announcers are saying, telling the fans to stop, and that their team, in fact, could default. But I could tell you, as a politician, former politician, do not mess with sport fans. We just saw yesterday a very embarrassing moment for government. The governor of New York. She was at the Buffalo Bills game. She tried to get a chant going, and at that particular game, because they were just announcing a new stadium. They were in their first new stadium. She got continually booed by the fans. She kept trying to get them to cheer. Folks, don't mess around. Politicians and celebrities, let people just enjoy their game and their sports. And it's always high risk when you try a group of unruly fans. You try to tell them what to do. The Roman emperors found that way back 2,000 years ago when, in those famous matches with gladiators. You remember they wouldn't even say do a thumbs up or thumbs down till they had consulted with the crowd. They would look to the crowd with at the defeated gladiator lying on the ground, and they would say, should we give him thumbs up or thumbs down? So we'll watch how that plays out, though, because it could have serious ramifications on the Mexico team if the fans continue with that. Let's see how it's actually going to play out. Well, the markets, yesterday we talked about how things bumped up quite significantly, and a bump down today, also showing, first of all, before I talk about this in detail, remember, if you've got stock holdings, which many people do, and if you've got pension funds or anything like that, you're invested in the stock markets. As Warren Buffett used to say, don't panic day to day, keep an eye on things, but don't panic, because markets took a drop downward today after a very positive day up. The Apple had announced, and a couple of other tech companies announced, that the price of components are going up. So that sent the tech markets into a bit of a spin-off, slightly down in the US and Canada. Europe also slightly downward. And in the Asian markets, Korea, as a matter of fact, they panicked so much because they're so focused on their high-tech companies that they actually had to halt trading because of the sell-off that was going on. Things have kind of calmed down now, and the cost of chips has really causing a problem. So there is, as you know, OpenAI is a huge tech company, and they had announced they were going ahead with an IPO. An IPO, that's an initial public offering, just like SpaceX did in the shadow of SpaceX incredible IPO. OpenAI was announcing that. Now there's concern that they were looking at a delay in going to the public market because they've just had to announce the cost of chips going up. So a little bit of turmoil in the markets. We will keep an eye on that and keep you informed there. But oil dropped again, price of oil. That means eventually it'll show up in your gas tanks as lower. WTI, that's the West Texas Intermediate, dropped to, it's down at $69. And remember, it was only a couple of weeks ago we were talking well over 100. We were talking at $120. It's gone way down. Brent crude, the other hallmark for oil, down to 72. And again, on these reports that ships, they say, are moving. Well, Ukraine is really pushing back. Reports coming out early this morning, late last night, more significant attacks by Ukraine drones on ships and also on chemical facilities and other facilities in Russia. And Russia is knocking down a lot of those, but a number of those getting through. And again, with that announcement of some very successful drone attacks from Ukraine onto Russia, is the announcement yesterday that the EU is going to be giving a $3 billion, or sorry, that's 3 billion euros, that's more than dollars, to the Ukraine for support. So it looks like the EU has taken Donald Trump's warning to heart when he said, you know, you expect the United States to be supporting Ukraine, but you folks over there need to support your own ally a little more. And so EU stepping up. This has to be concerning news for Putin in Russia. The drone attacks getting through, the EU coming through with larger support financial packages for Ukraine. Let's see where that's all going to round up, but it's getting amazing, interesting. Now, the Supreme Court everybody is aware of the product, the chemical called Roundup, and how that has been in the courts for years. If you think back, Monsanto used to own Roundup. Monsanto was the company who was getting hit with so many lawsuits alleging that Roundup was a cause of cancer that they were purchased by Bayer, and that way back in 2015. Then Bayer was facing those lawsuits, and the Supreme Court ruled yesterday that it's being seen as a win for Roundup. Here's actually what happened. What you have in the United States, you've got two situations. You have the International Council on Cancer Research. A number of years ago, in doing its testing on Roundup, said Roundup probably, and I use the word probably can lead to cancer in certain situations, people using it. The EPA, which is the United States Environmental Protection Agency, their research says it probably does not lead to cancer. Because there is split on this in the scientific and medical community, therefore the federal agency in the United States say they are not required, they're not forcing Roundup to put a cancer warning on their product because they say it has not been determined to cause cancer. But individual states, which tend to see things a little differently, have been trying to force Roundup to put a warning on their containers saying that it could cause cancer. That's been the battle. That battle went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said yesterday, this wasn't a ruling on the cancer question itself, but it was saying a state agency does not have the power to tell a federal agency what to do. And that's the court case that found in the favor of Roundup yesterday. It's a jurisdictional issue. We'll see where that goes, and we'll see what kind of, if anything, that is going to force more rulings on this. In just jumping back to Canada, for our American followers, 24 Sussex Drive is like your in the U.S. Pennsylvania address of the White House, or the address like 10 Downing Street in the UK for the residence of the Prime Minister. 24 Sussex Drive is famous in Canada for that reason, but it's been vacant for quite a while because it needs so much upgrades. Any Prime Minister, any politician who lives in a place that needs an upgrade, and it's a government-owned building, always will not want the upgrades to go ahead because they'll be the ones accused of doing the expensive upgrades. So it's been sitting empty. So the Prime Minister has just announced that he's announcing a design contest. It'll start July 1st. There'll be 1 year. Anybody can jump in. If you got a thought or a design on designing 24 Sussex Drive and fixing it up, send it in. And if you are the successful one, it gets to be your design that's going to be implemented. And along with that, he's doing something that's kind of different in Canada. You see it in the US where President Trump will go to private companies and look for money to refurbish the White House and to build certain things at the White House. So Prime Minister Carney's announced there'll be a fundraising campaign where taxpayers and citizens can donate to the restoration or the rebuilding of 24 Sussex Drive. So that's kind of a new approach in Canada. We'll see how that goes. The Governor General yesterday, in awarding the highest award, the Order of Canada, to worthy citizens, two that were kind of note. We see Christine Sinclair. Now, some of you may not know her, but at soccer season, it's interesting to note as a Canada's female soccer superstar, really, over the years, she holds the record in the world for number of goals scored in international competition, 190 goals. All-time record holder, and she got that award. She well deserving. And Michael J. Fox also getting that award. As you know, he's just been a tremendous encouragement to people dealing with all kinds of physical ailments, and two pretty good high awards. Sometimes those are controversial. No controversy with those two Canadians, and others will be solidly behind them. As we've been watching and monitoring more countries that are putting a ban on social media for under 16-year-olds, we've had time now to see and survey how is this working out. Australia has had that ban in for quite a while, and what they're finding there is it's not resulting in less screen time. So what's happened is some of the sites that are being closed to those who are 16 or under, for instance, the increase in under 16 using the site known as Tumblr, 240% increase since the ban went into place. Pinterest, some of you look at Pinterest, that's gone up among under 16-year-olds. Usage of 116%, gone way up. And before the ban, 6% of under 16-year-olds said they were regular users of Facebook. Now it's 21%. So people are saying that the ban doesn't work. Well, the other side of the argument is rather than some of the really adult type sites that under 16-year-olds shouldn't be on, and maybe nobody should be on, it has moved them off of those sites. So the screen time is still seeming to continue. It's just, it seems to be they've got these workarounds that they're using, but maybe on sites that are less harmful. We'll see how that plays out. Well, we usually like to close out with a faith note. And interesting, you may be aware, you may have heard of in Calgary, Alberta right now, there is a conference going on. It's called Dependently Wealthy, and it's a faith-based conference. Now, full disclosure here, I've been asked to help out a little bit with that conference. It's not my conference, but I'm honored to be involved there. And it's pulled in some of the big names in the sort of business, faith-based community. Names like David Green, of course, the owner of Hobby Lobby, and also his family, significant builders of the Museum of the Bible in Washington. You've got John Maxwell, Bill Johnson. These are pretty big names in the faith business community, and they're there. A huge number of people showing up, 1,500 people. And the other amazing thing about this conference, organized by a guy by the name of Steve Holmstrom, his wife Kara, they have, and you can find them go to the website, look for The Altar. Pretty amazing. They're announced this. They are not charging people to attend. You have to be business oriented, but they are hoping and believing that the message is so strong that people should be, especially business people, be faith oriented and really looking to God as their source. And that conference is going on right now. So interesting things happening in the faith world today. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow.